unaware. And now that I'm diving deep in this subject, and I look back, I can actually see how I was performing in different positions when I was using my strengths and when I wasn't using my strengths. And just a little of a background, we spoke yesterday about transformations and transitions. And I come from basically, I did studies in economy, finance, international relations, and I had 17 years of banking experience before I dive into the world of well-being. And today I work with companies offering different programs around well-being and engagement. And through this journey of exploring the well-being arena, I did masters in applied positive psychology. And in that context came the notion and the study of strengths. And for me, this was like such a moment of epiphany of like, how didn't I know about this? And how come many of us don't know about it? Apparently 2/3 of people don't know about their strengths. They don't know what they are and how to use them. So I thought it would be a great opportunity today to focus a bit on this and to also see how this is linked to our skills and to our well-being. And for this, I will share with you my screen, and I have put together a presentation. It is very full, very rich. Please, if you want to take notes or take some photos, because for the 1 hour that we have at the now, going deep into the coaching element of finding your strengths will not be really feasible. It takes longer. It takes also a lot of self-reflection. But I will give you the key elements so that you can continue doing this exploration on your own, or if you want, accompanied by a coach or a specialist in this field. So just a second. I believe you all see my screen.
Yes, we can, Nora. You can just make it
perfect. Okay. So I can just start with it. Okay, just a second. It says my screen is sharing, but it's not moving.
So no,
yeah. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay. Start. Now it's activated. So we will go through a very short introduction of what is positive psychology and coaching. We will look into strengths. What are they? Why we need them? How to use them? How to find them, first of all. And I will guide you through some ways of discovering your strengths and also focusing on why are they important when you look for a career change and career shift. Now, why I want to say a few words on coaching, because there is so much around and about coaching, and coaching is a rather popular field. But actually, if we can minimalize it, we can say that this is our performance, which is equal to our potential, but then we subtract the interferences, because if we were basically performing to our fullest potential, we will be thriving and excelling in what we do. And very often there are interferences, there are things that stand on the way, and most often these are our thoughts and our own limiting beliefs. And I can just invite you to maybe notice when you are applying for a job, when you're thinking for a job change, what are your thoughts? Are there thoughts around, I'm not skilled enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not experienced enough, I'm not educated, whatever comes that makes you feel not enough, not good for whatever you want to apply, can be your saboteur, can be the critic in you, can be the judge in you that is creating this interference. And the premise is that we all have the resources within, meaning that we have it all. We are in our own way complete. Of course, we are also a process. We learn throughout our life and grow. But the idea is that when we focus on what we are good at and what we already have, we can go and excel further. And I will develop this in the next slides. Now, Gallup says that the best way to help a person learn and grow is to draw attention to and build on their strengths. And we will see in the following slides how. Now, strengths is, as I mentioned, a field in positive psychology. And positive psychology, I mean, it's a field. It was created in the beginning of this century, where psychologists thought, "But wait a minute, we know very, very little about what makes us happy and fulfilled human beings. We've been focusing so much on what is missing, on disorder, on disease, but we don't have enough studies on that area of thriving and excelling, because just being okay is not enough. Just, being in a okay state, not enough. We can be so much more. And then there starts to be this shift from what is wrong with people towards what is right with people, from healing to prevention, from disease and disorder to flourishing. And in these contexts, some great men come with great questions. This is Donald Clifton, who, towards the end of last century, asked a question that revolutionized the way psychologists and today in the workplace employers think. He posed a very simple question: what will happen when we think about what is right with people rather than fixing on what is wrong with them? Rather simple, but yet it created such a wave of research. And in the past 50 years, basically, there has been a tremendous study on our strengths. And he created basically, he was in the base of the founding members of the Gallup research around strengths. And this research now spans over decades and includes millions of people. Now, he wasn't the father, though. It was Aristotle who first said, to attain a good life, we must train every nerve to live in accordance with the best things in us. What are the best things in us? Now, we will look into this, and we look also into how to find them. Now, maybe here I can ask you, do you think that we all have strengths? Do you think that we all have something that makes us unique? And I know you are muted, and we are not in a space where we create a big dialogue, but if there are questions, if there are comments, if there are thoughts, please do share them, and we will talk at any stage, actually, if there is something that you wanna ask or say, or at the end of this session. Now, do we all have talents, and are we all uniquely, how to say, do we all have our unique strengths? And the question is, yes, we all have something that makes us who we are. And those talents are our greatest source for success and contribution. The thing is, though, that just having a talent is not enough. The talent has to be developed. The talent has to be nurtured through knowledge, through acquiring skills in order to become a strength. And the great thing about talents is that they're given to us with our birth. Basically, as we know, in the brain we have connections, and our talents are already existing neural pathways in the mind. They're hardwired. That's why when we do things basing ourselves on our talents, we are really good at them, because we already have a solid base for learning and growing, and it all comes so easily. So we have talents, but we need to nurture them. We need to add knowledge. We need to add skills. And that's where we make the distinction. Skills are the things that we learn to enhance our talents. And knowledge is also what we add to these pre-existing talents. Let's say, we can take, for example, communication skills. If we feel this ease of communicating, being clear in the way we speak, being charismatic and captivating, having the ease of expressing ourselves, most probably we have good communication abilities. But in order to make them into strengths, we need to develop them, maybe through going to different courses or self-learning around maybe using the voice in an optimal way, body positioning, all those things that we can add in order to enhance what we already have. So the first step is to start with the strengths. Now here I want to ask you, I have put just some random words, and if you go through them, and we focus now on the upper part, When we say bad, sorrow, out, loss, death, pain, weakness, how does that make you feel? And how do you feel when you think about good, joy, love, gain, life, pleasure, strength? If you take a moment and just notice the feeling that comes within, I'm pretty sure you will see that there is a big difference, that those words that are negative, they pulls us down, and the positive ones uplift us. And here again, I want to relate the topic to my first sentences when I said notice your thoughts, because your thoughts are very powerful and they can pull you down or uplift you. So this awareness and monitoring where your mind goes and what thoughts come will be very predetermining of what you will feel, because the words will bring a feeling, and how will you act, and how will you present yourself when you go to an interview or when you meet a potential employer. Will you be looking like shoulders down and shrinking because in your mind there is a language, I don't have this or that, or will you be open and welcoming and confident and strong? And this is linked to these words of weakness and strength. What happens when you think that you miss things and you don't have this and that, or what happens when you know you do? And this photo I put, I know you might think, what is it doing here, this Teflon pan? But actually, this is what happens with the emotions. The emotions have different impact on us. The negative ones, they can actually stick, and they can have a very strong grip on us. They are actually, now I will not go that direction. Emotions are a data, they're information, but the negative ones are especially strong because they're there for a very simple survival reason. We are supposed to survive from old prehistorical times when we were still living in forest and jungles. And when something was not okay, this was an alarm that something's wrong and we have to take care. And so whenever we have negative emotions, they trigger our flight or fight response, our fear of survival mechanisms. And the thing is that what the brain does is it wants us to survive, not to necessarily make us happy. And what we have to do as evolved species is to be aware and go forward into direction that is beneficial for us, that is constructive, and that makes us happy. And the pen is a very smooth thing because the positive emotions, they kind of slide. So when we feel something as a negativity, we need to get the awareness of it and add positive emotions. They say there is a ratio 3-to-1. You need 3 positive emotions for 1 negative one. So monitor your thoughts, notice what's happening, and navigate consciously your emotions, because they will be fundamental for all that you want to achieve. And in this context comes also the notion of strength. Now, when we focus on strengths, already the word strength, how does it make you feel? Like, wow, I have something, I matter and I'm important because I have something that really distinguishes me. And when we focus on strengths, our performance rises significantly. When we focus on weaknesses, it drops. Not surprisingly, I can give you some more impressive numbers. When we focus on strengths, we are 6 times more likely to be engaged at work and 3 times more likely to have excellent quality of life. Now, the question is, when we choose our jobs, do we want to choose them in a way that we are indeed more empowered and engaged because we do what we intrinsically do easily? Or we can just pick up a job that is just a job and doesn't bring us these levels of fulfillment? Now, I know in the title of today's session, we have well-being, and maybe you already wonder, what is the connection between strengths and well-being, and what is it all about? Well, again, in positive psychology, they say that positive emotions have a ripple effect, that everything is connected to everything. And here we see this connection between focusing on what we are good at. Those things that we are good at, they bring a lot of energy and they make us feel really confident within ourselves. And when we are really confident and energized, we want to learn. We learn actually with the ease. And when we learn with ease, we grow. And when we grow and we are knowledgeable and we are excited about what we do, we perform better. And then we are better able to achieve our goals. And when we achieve our goals, we feel fulfilled because we have achieved what we want to have in life. And this brings the optimal functioning. So the smallest thing, realizing strengths, makes the biggest difference because it impacts your whole life, also outside of your work environment. We know how personal and professional life are so intrinsically connected. And when I, in the beginning, said that I didn't know my strengths, and I'm looking back through my career, the focus in the past was very much on what doesn't work. And I have been having these periodic reviews around my performance. And indeed, the focus was very often, or, oh, you can do this better, or you can, focus more on this, on that, but always from the space of deficiency, of what is missing. And there are these poor assumptions that this is information from Gallup that I'm using. The assumption that we can learn everything and we can excel. The assumption that if you are, try hard enough, you can master anything. Actually, if you try hard enough, you can reach certain level of mastery, but it won't be a mastery. It will be just, coping with whatever you're doing. And fixing weaknesses leading to success. Well, actually, no, because the thorough research that Gallup does says something very different. And basically, it is that fixing weaknesses can prevent failure, but only building on strengths we can be successful. And I also think when I look back that I always thought, oh, if I really learn this really well and I can be really good. But then if you think further, is it really true? Because if you are struggling with math and you take enough exams, like lessons and exams, you might become okay in this field, and you might become an accountant that is managing his job. But will this be really the best in his job accountant, the one that is really successful and good in what he does or she does? The answer is no. It's no, because only some things we can learn to excellence, and those are the things for which we have the fundamental intrinsic gift, if I can put it this way. So focus on what is right, working and strong, and our greatest strengths are our areas of greatest potential. The question is, how do we tap into this potential? And one way to do it is to taking an assessment that Gallup has developed. It is the most thorough, professional tool that exists on the market. I have looked into different ones, but I have stopped my attention on that particular one because it gives such a depth of information. It groups our strengths in 24. Obviously, we have so many more strengths. We don't even have the words for them, as I mentioned. But just for simplifying the process, they have grouped them in 34 groups. And here I have just given the beginning in alphabetical order. There are more of a descriptions of not what you do, but how you do it. For example, an achiever is someone who likes to set goals and achieve them. This is a fast doer. He will start the day and until the end of the day has to have achieved some things. And it's really like a speedy, organized person. But then you have others. For example, here, the analytical one will be the one that will take time to analyze the situation, to look at all the pros and cons, all the risks. So we all have these different ways of approaching things. And once again, when we look into how we fit in a work environment, it is not what we do, but how we do it. Again, these 34 are grouped in 4 categories. I'm just giving you a quick overview. This test can be taken online. It is available on the Gallup website, and it is something like 200 dirham. But it's really worth it because it is very detailed, and it gives you a lot of information. And for me, it was like very revealing. I was like, wow, am I really this, or am I, and how does it, and then when I look back, I'm telling myself, yeah, indeed, I've been doing this throughout all my life. So I highly recommend you to take it if you have the possibility. I will not stay much longer on it. This is how it looks. It's many pages of information. They first show you, this is your DNA, basically, the twisted figure, because it's uniquely you. The first 5 are the ones that are the predominant one, and there are something like 34 million combinations of strength. So basically, you're one on 20 million or something like that, that can have similar as another person, first 5 strengths. This makes us pretty unique. And I don't know if I should take a little break or continue. Maybe we look into questions later. I continue unless I get another note. Okay.
I think you can continue. Yep, I think you can continue.
Okay, so important is when we talk about our own strengths as well, is to look into some, I will just go through them briefly, some points. There are no good or bad strengths. It is about what you do with them. They're rather neutral. And we don't want to label people. We don't want to say, okay, you're an achiever and you are a very good communicator, because we are complex, and there is an interaction between our strengths that makes it really a unique combination. So the idea is not to label, the idea is not to judge, the idea is to create this positive intent where we start to appreciate each other for who we truly are and for our uniqueness. And that's why this tool works fantastically in companies. I wish you to start working for a company that has this culture of strengths. It's basically strengths-based leadership, strengths-based teams. It is a fantastic tool in the corporate world, because when people find out what makes them unique and what makes them good in what they do, they can start to then complement each other. And then they start to appreciate each other, and they start to celebrate each other, instead of looking into, oh, you're not fast enough because I'm fast, and I presume that everybody has to be fast. But then if you know that that other person can complement you, because that person might be enjoying the process of analyzing data and then finding out risks, which you as an achiever might not have the patience to do. So it becomes like a puzzle, how we all fit in a way that we make the sum more of its parts. It's a fascinating topic. And if you're working in companies and you have the opportunity to bring this tool along, it's a game changer. And the fact that people need one another. We all need other people to complement us. We are amazing, but as a whole, we are even more amazing, if I can say this. Now, when we talk about strengths, and I know you're wondering, but okay, all this and where are my strengths? We'll come to this as well, to how to find them. But we have to be mindful that knowing them is just part of the story. It's really important how we use them, and how to use them in the way to optimize their use. Because what can happen is, and I have put this image, is because it's like fine tuning. It is like you can put the volume up of a strength or down. Let's say you can be a very good, I just refer again to communicator, but if you are not able to notice what is the environment around you and what is required from you in that very moment, maybe there is another strength that has to step forward. Maybe empathy is needed in that particular situation. If you don't work your strengths in the right way, they can work, if I can use this strong word, against you. But basically, they can be overplayed. And I'm thinking about a client that I had recently. She was in tears, because she was saying, whenever I am communicating with my parents, and she lives in a family which is a bit more emotional. She said, I want to make everybody get along and be well together. But then I feel like I put myself on the backside, and my emotions are not respected. And it turned out her strength is harmony. And harmony, these are people who really like that everything works smoothly and that people are well together, that they are all understand each other. Now, this is a great strength. She was just using it a bit too much, and forgetting to put certain boundaries. And when she realized this, she was actually, her whole perspective changed, and she moved from this space of weakness to actually, no, this is my strength. I just have to, by bringing my awareness on it, start to fine-tune it, to optimize it, to have the right strength, the right amount, in the right way, and in the right time. And this is the golden mean. Now, probably what you're all waiting for. How can you find your strengths? Apart from the tool that I mentioned to you earlier, the Gallup Strengths Assessment, you can also identify your strengths through some introspection. And the 3 steps that Gallup suggests is name it. Basically, give a name to your strength, because when you give it a name, you can then bring awareness to it, and you can also start noticing how in the claim it has played throughout the years or different situations for you. And we say, on whatever you put your attention, it grows, because attention is energy. So will we start then by realizing what our strengths are, bring more attention to them, start to deliberately noticing when we use them, and in the aim it part, start to target them for future situations. Let's say you have an upcoming event, or you have a project, or you have an interview. How can you use your strengths to present yourself in the best possible way? What will you bring when you go and do whatever it's on your mind? And now this is the part where I said, if you want to take photos, because these are coaching questions. Basically, we go through these 3 different stages, and if you take if you go through a coaching process, this will take several sessions. It's an exploration of yourself, and finding out who you truly are. So the 3 different stages contain different questions, starting from name it, when we identified what are the activities that you really like doing, when do you feel at your best. When we go to the claim it appreciation, looking at an example when we have used this strength, how do we feel having achieved what we have achieved? And deploying is, how can this strength help us in different situations that we see in the future? Again, go ahead if you want to take a photo of this, and spend some time if you're curious to know more about yourself. Now, how to find our strengths? There is another list. This is again linked to our awareness. Looking into our energy. When we come from a space of strength, we are energized. We are full of high vibrating energy, and we speak faster. We are more enthusiastic. We learn faster as well in this topic or this area. We use words as I love and I enjoy. We can notice that there is a successful pattern behind us. We can have more feelings of really intrinsic fulfillment and motivation. We can lose sense of time, which is a state of flow. Now, I'm mindful of time. I just have a few more slides. I want to give you more information, then you can pull whatever you feel you can work with. Here is an analogy. When we use our strengths, we feel like we go with the flow. And again, reflecting back, one part of my work, one of my first positions was where I was really feeling now I realize I was using my strengths, and I was feeling so literally energized and very good in what I do. In another position, though, I had to do a lot of number crunching, and this wasn't really something I was feeling confident. And as I was feeling that I'm kind of hitting a wall, in a way, swimming against the flow will be a good description. My self-confidence was starting to suffer, and I was feeling like this is not my place. This is this feeling of not being at ease. Maybe you have also felt it in previous positions that you have held, but it's really, one is this feeling of I go smoothly and I'm good at what I do. And the other one is like, oof, I put a lot of energy, but at the same time, the progress is slow, and I feel disengaged and I feel like I have to push for it, which creates that feeling of procrastination, while the other one is high performance and engagement. The screen froze. I hope it will change. And then again, if you learn easily, if you enjoy what you do, if you have energy, and if you want to do it more and more, most probably you are in your area of strength. Now, weaknesses, of course, there are things that we are not, that mean close your eyes. The question is, are these weaknesses getting in the way of your success? And those are things that we do, but they really drain us, and we really feel like, we don't want to do this, and can I find a way out of it? And indeed, you can. Very often, we can find ways to go around our weaknesses and to make them irrelevant. But sometimes we have to manage them. And when we go against the flow and we feel that we have to deal with those, there are here a few approaches that you can, if you want, take a photo of. Things that you can do to deal with those weaknesses. I'm sorry that my screen is still frozen, but I will continue. Now,
Yeah,
when
it's
we
not frozen. It's there. Your screen share is not frozen, and your video is also, it's fine.
good. Oh, good, because on my screen it doesn't show this way. So if we put it in the context of job search and CVs and interviews, and I mentioned several times, self-awareness is critical because you understand who you are better, what you have to offer, and when you look into job offerings, you can target the roles. You can look, okay, is this really aligned to me? Is this really aligned to my strengths, to what I'm really good at? Will it resonate with what I want to do? Not just taking a job for the sake of taking a job, but really aligning to you, because this will make a huge difference. And will not be draining. It will be uplifting and energizing once again. And of course, this builds your confidence. You are much better, and you feel appreciated as well by your colleagues, and you appreciate your own work. And you then, when you go on an interview, you think, okay, how can I contribute? But you come from a space of I know myself and I know what I'm really good at. And let me tell you, and that the dialogue changes, because you don't come from a position of, oh, please hire me because I need you so much. The language changes. It's like, you need me because I have all this to offer and I'm really good at certain things. Let me tell you, and let me prove you with experiences from my past, because you have gone through this journey of aim it, claim it, name it. So you already know how they have applied in your past career experiences. So it's a very different approach, and it also brings this awareness to the future employer, like, oh, she really has done a lot of self observation, and she knows who she is and how professional this is. And you can be more strategic, obviously, in your job search. And don't forget, the long-term career satisfaction and growth is based on really gearing and targeting a job that is aligned to you, and also an employer that have the right cultural mentality and way of thinking, because alone we can be the best in our minds and have all the emotional mastery, but in the environment, obviously, it's also crucial. So again, when you are going to interviews, observe and notice, what is the energy of these people, how do they communicate, what transpires as value system, how flexible they are, how open they are to topics such as well-being and engagement, and yeah, derive the conclusions. We spoke about well-being a bit, and I want to say a few words on this. Again, I repeat myself, but awareness is key, because once you are aware of your energy levels, then you can know how to intervene. And well-being, happiness, these are emotions that are highly vibrating. This means that these are emotions where your energy is high. And each one of us can notice when our energy starts to go down, when our energy starts to go up, and notice, what do I do for it to go down, and what do I do for it to go up? So usually when we are depleting our energy sources is when we are
I think there is some internet issue with Nora. We'll just give her 2 more minutes to join back again. So while she joins, let's open the conversation to everyone. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on today's session, or any feedback about yesterday's session and the day before? Please feel free to unmute and let's have a chat. We'll give her some time to log back in. Anyone? I see a few familiar names who've been there since Monday. So I see Arifa, who's joined all 3 days. I remember her name. I see Naz, who's joined. Shapla is also joined. So anybody wants to share something, please unmute yourself and you can jump in.
Hi, Arman. Hi, everybody. Halimi with you. I really thank you for selecting those topics for those events. It's really give us a nice insights before we meet even on Friday. It boosts the energy, and it's a very selective. I like the way the instructor, thank you for them all for speaking in a more practical way than academic way. So I just want to share that I'm enjoying the sessions.
Thank you very much, Shrekha. So what was it that you would take from today's session up until now, until Nora joins back?
Actually, I like the thing that when she mentioned that when you will meet someone, you need to feel the energy, test the place before taking any decision, because really it matters. This is a future decision when you choose a place to work or a place to do business with. So it's a very nice thing that I will take it with me for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that's one of the things that even young individuals who are starting their careers should develop. And beyond that, knowing your own strengths is always very, very important, even from the beginning. They might change, they might evolve, but knowing those factors, knowing how you can build on them are very important. So is your weaknesses, because then you know what to stay away from or what to navigate in a better way. And being honest is also very good. Hi, Namita. Yes, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Armin. If I may add, I think the highlight of the session for me personally was the most interesting fact on how this Gallup test can identify, even right down to our DNA, telling us, our exact unique strengths, right? How it makes us different from the others, right? Some of us may be aware of our strengths, with that uniqueness to be coming across in black and white and having a test done is really amazing and interesting. That was the highlight for me, and I'm sure many of the attendees will find it quite interesting as well.
Exactly. I also think that it is a formative space where we in this world today, there's so much information that comes to you, right? And you do get lost, even about talking about your strengths and weaknesses to people. You feel like your strength on one day is something and your weakness on the other day is something else. So it's nice to know what your personality actually has strengths and weaknesses of. I really found that interesting also. And it's not that much of an expense as well. Nina,
Yes,
you wanted to add
absolutely.
something. Thanks, Namita. Thanks for that.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, hi. So we've done the strength training here at my clients, and to be honest, it was an eye opener for a lot of people, because when you think about it, you always tend to think about your weaknesses. and not about what your strengths are. Oh, you need to develop your weaknesses, and you need to work on your weaknesses. But actually, it's the strengths that you need to develop, and not everyone has. You can't be good at everything. Yeah, so you develop your unique strengths, and it enables you and the team to work much more efficiently together, because then if somebody is more analytical or more visual, or it helps the team and the people work together a lot more efficiently, especially when you're working across teams and stuff, because then they understand each other, and that's when you start to focus on the strengths more. Of course, you don't forget about the weaknesses, but really you need to focus on the strengths more than the weaknesses, because not everybody is good at it is good at everything, and they shouldn't be. We all have very unique strengths, so we should be focusing on that. So so the Gallup report is absolutely amazing, and I would always if you're working in teams and in companies, you should always have these done, because you will see a difference in people working together. Absolutely.
Great. So unfortunately, I'm not able to get in touch with Nora and my team also. She's trying to join again. So we'll just give her a few minutes. Any other questions, thoughts from any of the other sessions, guys? Please, let's just, ladies, gentlemen, feel free to use this time to just have a nice, healthy discussion. Imagine we were in a room and the presentation or the slides or the PPT or the screen just switched off, and Nora was presenting and she had to fix it while I jumped in. So imagine that environment, and please feel free to share, because I'm going to keep it live up until she joins. She just messaged me now. She's trying to log in and log out and log in again. Things happen, right? Technology is not entirely dependable sometimes. So I had this session this morning on AI, and people are scared, and even the new generation today is very, very fearful of AI taking over a lot of the jobs that we see today. But at the end of the day, the whole summary of the afternoon was that AI is driving the new change, but it is humans who have to manage that. So that is something that I learned, and I could absorb this afternoon in my sessions. Anybody else wants to share anything? Please go for it. Nora is here. Okay, let's see. Hi, Nora. We're waiting for you. She's just joined now.
Armin, before Nora joins in, I'd just like to reflect on this point that you just shared, right? Many people today are fearful of technology and the change and the way AI is taking over. And yet, when I asked myself this question, because this is something I'm learning more and more to do, when you said, okay, technology is not dependent, most dependable sometimes, and what is what is right about the situation? So what is right about the situation right now is it's giving us this little moment to reflect on and say, technology or no technology, humans are here to stay.
Of course.
This has given us a chance to, have this conversation, because the technology glitched.
Yes, yes.
So that's the power of humans.
People still live and do business each day in places where there is still no internet, right? We're just in the modern world who are so used to this luxury of being connected virtually. Welcome back, Nora. We were just having
apologies. I mean, I don't know why this happened, but I don't know up to where you listen to.
Were you going? Did it not just shut down? Oh, I'm so sorry.
I was talking, and then I said, thank you. Let's share now your thoughts and experiences. And then there was a long silence, and I thought,
that's the worst. It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I think we were on the slide of I think your second last slide, if I'm not wrong.
The lady that was dancing?
Yes, I think so. That's when it came, and then we just
Oh, this part is we missed it. Okay,
Yes.
well, it was
Let's just do this. Let's take a breather, and if you can just summarize it, obviously, because
yeah,
we're time as
exactly.
well.
Just a
That
few
would be
words. Yeah, I was basically saying that, as I mentioned before, we start with the awareness, awareness of how we feel and of our energy levels, because ultimately, when we are feeling that our energy levels get depleted, is when we start to go towards a direction that is not beneficial for us and actually is dangerous. Ultimately, this can bring to high levels of stress, burnout, depression. So with awareness, we notice, where is my energy today? How do I feel? And what can I do to manage it wisely? And self-care in Asian culture is basically managing your energy wisely. So how can we do this? And when we talk about work environment and in our private life as well, this is a big question. How do I feel and what can I do to change it? And there are things obviously that we can control and others that we cannot. If we are stuck in traffic, we cannot control the traffic. We can control the way we feel about it. If we feel upset and angry and we feel that this drains us, what can we do? And one of the things, and that's why this lady with the hand up, is basically we can put on the volume of the music. Music is one of the fastest way for us to help us change our emotional state. If you want to sing, if you want to dance, if you want to jump, everything that will create this physical change in the body, because when we do these activities, we give a message to the brain, and the message is, if I'm singing and dancing and jumping, I'm okay. And if I'm okay, then the brain says, okay, we go away from the fight and flight. Let's then create the chemicals that correspond to the message, I'm doing well. And this will be my message to the direction of prevention, so that we don't go to a burnout, so that we don't go to places where we cannot get up in the morning. Notice your energy and feed it. These are the positive emotions that bring and hold our energy up. And this can be small things. It can be calling a friend and having a laughter. It can be going out for a little walk. If you have a pet, if you have children to play with, all these things, they are not complicated. They don't take much time, but it takes awareness. And of course, they're also, in a way, coping skills, because if you know how to switch your state of mind quickly, then you're coping with the situation. And when you stack, the more you stack of positivity, the better you deal with adversities and the more resilient you become. And ultimately, I have put as a one line, even if you have all the coping mechanisms and you're really mastering your mind and emotions, you still have to be aware what is the environment in which you work. Sometimes it is a toxic environment, and sometimes doing the best that you can is not enough. And this again comes with the awareness. Okay, what is going on? Can I change something? What can I change? Or is this job, this environment really for me? Because taking care of ourselves is, I think, the most important thing that we can do. And I was finishing with one quote that I love. Maybe I can read it quickly to you. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? And with this, I will give now the words to different participants. I do hope this was beneficial and useful. I know it was a bit fast. I know it was a lot, but hopefully it will open the path to a different direction.
Thank you so much, Nora. So just summarizing today's session, Nora, I also want to request you, because we had this little bit of a glitch, and we do have a pre-recorded system where all the participants and attendees get the pre-recorded links. I would request you to send over the presentation and the slides that we haven't seen now as well, to them. Just put it in the email so they get it and they can reference it from the video as well, because this is all recorded. Summarizing the session, it's so important to know your own strengths and weaknesses. That is absolutely true, but also managing them over a period of time, right? They might evolve, both your strengths and your weaknesses. That's beautiful. And then also navigating the last point that you mentioned was just self-doubt. Who are you to question yourself? Yes, you have weaknesses, you have strengths. Everybody has those. How can you be confident on both ends? And how can you actually live through the highs of your strengths and still navigate the lows of your weaknesses, if they are actually perceived as low or you perceive them as lows? So really interesting session. I'm definitely going to look at Gallup. What is the follow through of Gallup? So if you do the test, after that, what should be done? Should we have a session with a coach or somebody to navigate every single, detail in the assessment, or is it something which is a self-help? It's just easy to read.
Well, the report that Gallup produces is very, now there are two ways. One report is only the top 5 strengths. The other report is all the 34 strengths for you, how they come, with a lot of information on how they exactly work for you, because every description is depending on the person. My let's say communication description will be different than your communication description, because the algorithm behind it is extremely smartly done tool. It looks at everything, how it relates to everything. It is unbelievable. So once you do it, and I always recommend to have an external help, because going through this process of name it, claim it, aim it, with all the questions, and Gallup offers very nice coaching tools that come along with my training, where you can go more in depth and understand better, and then also see how it applies in real life, how we can apply for the things that you have lined for you in the coming future, and really, because otherwise you read the report and then in one day or two, do you really even remember them? The trick is to apply. The trick is to even, I have mine here. You might look, I have mine here.
Yes,
Have them
exactly.
in front of your eyes. And just every time you are even having a difficulty, just look and say, okay, these are my resources. In which one will I tap today to help me go through this difficult moment? Because these are like our tools. We just don't use them.
Yeah. Yeah. And they are tools.
So,
They are our own tools. They are tools that we use most efficiently or in the best manner compared to most others.
yeah.
Yes.
And
That's how.
with a coach, good thing is that you can have a look at it through time. Like if you have every week or every 2 weeks, you can have traction and just really start thinking and implementing it and noticing it in your life, so that it becomes integrated. It becomes like a habit.
Yeah.
And then you do something that's like, oh, I do this because of that. That's so interesting. Like, for example, I have self-assurance, and apparently people who are stronger with this trait, they like to do everything on their own, and they're very independent, and they think that they can fix everything. But to the extent where IKEA comes and I'm like, oh, don't worry, I can fix this wardrobe. And I'm like, do I really have to? Do I really have to? Why?
Oh.
But this is because I'm aware that this can become my weakness, spending the whole day stubbornly screwing, yeah. So it can save us also a lot of energy and time, knowing where our mind can lead us.
Yeah, and just to that point, a question popped up in my head, like something which is such a strength that you think you can do everything. You're superwoman. That's a really good strength to have, and the perception to have. But then the superwoman is wasting a lot of time as well, right? Doing the things that she's not supposed to be doing. So that kind of is yin and yang, if I may say so, from
Absolutely.
a balance point of view,
Absolutely.
right?
Every strength has like a shade, a shadow, if you can call it, or the dark side, be more dramatic.
Yeah.
But for example, the maximizer, because I'm also a maximizer, these are people who want to do things really well. They want to go from good to best. But the trick here is that you can go into the trap of perfectionism, because you want everything to be like so well done. And then it's like, oh, it's the maximizer. Come on, slow down.
Yeah.
It's okay. And then again, it changes the dialogue.
You become so much smarter when you actually are balancing the self-awareness. Really, everyone, you have to think about it in this way. It's not, this session has not just been about strengths and weaknesses and just jargon. It is truly about how we are and how we can fight our own internal battles more than anything else.
Exactly. And when we, let's say, in the context of work, when a project comes, you can directly think, okay, I can use this and this to make it really, really successful. And another person can also make it successful by using other strengths.
Yes.
And also, like, for example, when we talk about leadership, very often there is this thought, but if I'm an introvert, can I be a leader? Yes, you can, because you will pull and use your strengths in a way that will make you a great leader, because maybe you don't have the great communication skills, but you're a great empathic person that can feel what's happening on the other side. Maybe you don't talk much, but you listen twice more. And we know how listening is much more important than talking. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So it is really playing with these things that holds the power.
Yeah, it's the balance as well. I totally, it's like an epiphany for me now. Really. Like your strengths can play on your weaknesses on the opposite side. Really
Yeah,
interesting.
it was for me as
Any
well.
thoughts?
Yeah.
Any thoughts, anyone? All right, so we're going to wrap this up. We're done with our 1 hour, and we're going to see you tomorrow again. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for staying on even with the technical glitch.
Yeah. I
no
will be
worries.
there tomorrow. If
Yes.
any of the participants has thoughts or things come up, or you look at some of the questions, I'll be there and we can continue the dialogue.
Amazing. Thank you for being there. Tomorrow is another online session. That's the last of our
Coming on
online
Friday,
session.
and on
Yes,
tomorrow on
that's
Friday.
right. Of course. And Mo El Sherbini will be doing that session. This session is very interesting, and I want to tell you a little bit more before we leave. The session is about how both sides of the coin need to operate, which means an entrepreneur who's hiring you or your hiring manager who's hiring you, and what you need to give in that conversation as a candidate who's sitting across the table from the entrepreneur in a small and medium business setup or the hiring manager in a large setup. So this is going to be very interesting, and hope to see you tomorrow, 4:15 p.m. UAE time. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.